Yo, have you heard of LinkedIn Learning? If you haven't, LinkedIn Learning is an American massive open online course provider. It provides video courses taught by industry experts in a variety of subjects. Now, why am I sharing this? I'm sharing this because Living Corporate is in partnership with LinkedIn Learning to provide diversity, equity, and inclusion courses. Listen, if you're trying to be a better ally, you want to understand better diversity, equity, inclusion strategies, or you just want to learn how to be a better leader, you got to check out the courses on LinkedIn Learning. So check it out. You can do it one of two ways. You can click the link in the show notes, or you go to LinkedIn Learning and you search Living Corporate. Again, link in the show notes, or go to LinkedIn Learning and search Living Corporate. I'll see you over there. What's up, y'all? This is Zach with Living Corporate. Listen, I am so excited because in a couple of weeks, that's right, in a couple of weeks, something new is coming to Living Corporate. Okay? So I will share more next week, but for now, just know something new is coming to Living Corporate. Hopefully you hear it in the tone of my voice. You just hear me talking, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm so excited about what's coming later this month. Y'all have no idea. So the best thing you can do is subscribe to our newsletter. Of course, if you're listening to this, you probably already subscribed to the podcast. But if you don't, subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you're staying up to date. Follow us on livingcorp_pod on Twitter, or Living Corporate on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? Check us out on all the different social medias. We're also on LinkedIn. Like, make sure you're plugged in, because what we have coming, I'm so excited. To that end, this is gonna feel like a really harsh like pivot, but it's not. One of my favorite rappers when I was in college is 2 Chainz, right? 2 Chainz is actually like the person that put me on to the brand that we're gonna be talking to today. We're not talking to a brand. We're talking to the VP of HR DEI over there of this brand, True Religion, right? And so I'm really excited about the fact that we were able to sit down with Theresa Watts, who is the VP of DEI and HR and talent at True Religion. I'm so honored to have the opportunity to speak to her and talk about the ways that True Religion is continuing to create an equitable place to work. Make sure you check out this conversation. It's a really good dialogue. And what excites me about Living Corporate, continues to empower and energize me, is we don't come on to do a song and dance for y'all. We're having authentic, candid conversations about the experiences of historically marginalized people at work every day. We're not leveraging a bunch of white language that centers white sensibilities and white sensitivities and white perspectives. We're actually just talking to Black and brown people about the things that we as Black and brown people go through. And when we have white folks on the podcast, shout out to people like Xander Lurie, we're still going to talk about Black and brown experiences and ways that those white individuals can leverage their access, power, privilege, capital to support a more equitable place to work. So again, really, 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 I'm not even gonna say pumped, because pumped feels like really, what's the word? Hype beastie. I'm not gonna say pumped, but I will say I am very excited, right? And truly thankful and grateful of where we are and what y'all are about to see and experience, and what we're all gonna go through together. Again, announced later this month, but then continuing forward, right? Anyway, I can't even stop smiling. We're gonna eventually turn this to a video thing, but we'll share that another time. I am smiling so hard. The next thing you're gonna hear is the Tap In with Tristan. Shout out to Tristan Layfield Resume. Continue to make sure you show Tristan some love. If you have questions about career management and growth, you need to listen to Tristan. For real, Tap In with Tristan. He has his information in the show notes, and he has his own segment on the Living Corporate podcast. So make sure you're tapping in with Tristan, not just by listening to the segment and taking his advice, but also by reaching out to Tristan for career advice and resume help, because Tristan is that guy, for real, straight up. He's the man. I'm not just saying that because he's a part of the Living Corporate community. Seriously, I'm a huge Tristan fan, so make sure you check him out. So look, we're going to tap in with Tristan, then you're going to hear my conversation with Theresa Watts, VP of People, Talent, DEI, HR, over at True Religion. All right, talk to you soon.
What's going on, Living Corporate? It's Tristan, back again to bring you another career tip. This week, let's talk about when to take jobs off your resume. Many of us have heard the rule that after 10 to 15 years, you should take experiences off of your resume. I used to give this advice too, but now I don't think the experience you should include on your resume is as cut and dry as the rule tries to make it out to be. In conversations with my clients, I focus less on the time limit and more on the relevancy. When we are writing our resumes, we want to focus on providing the most relevant experience and skills in the shortest amount of time. So during my intake calls, when we get to those experiences that are 10 to 15 years back, I always ask, does this role contain a relevant skill set not already represented by a more recent job? If the answer is no, then we discuss either completely removing it from the resume or putting it in an additional experience section with only the job title, company name, and dates if we still want to showcase the background or career trajectory. But if the answer is yes, then we have a conversation on what skill sets that role showcases that differ from recent experiences, and we keep only that portion and ditch the rest. Now, some people, resume writers and career coaches included, don't necessarily like this advice. They may believe that this begins to create gaps in the resume, and to that, I would say that completely removing anything 10 to 15 years back already creates a large gap between college and the first employment experience listed. They'll also say that if the skill set is 10 to 15 years back, that it is probably outdated, to which I would say, if that's the only place that represents the skill set, then why risk the chance of not getting the job because you omitted it? Remember, there's no one right way to write a resume, but the purpose of your resume is to show the employer that you can help them solve their problem. So drop your attachment to certain parts of your experience if they don't fit with where you're trying to go, and keep them if they do. Simply focus on how you can make yourself relevant. This tip was brought to you by Tristan of Layfield Resume Consulting. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Layfield Resume, or connect with me, Tristan Layfield, on LinkedIn.
Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me here. How are you today?
You know what? I am okay. It's a very loaded question. There's so much stuff going on. You know, living
Right.
corporate. We talk all about, we center amplify Black and brown voices by talking about really real topics. Sometimes it'd be kind of a downer. So I don't know. I think I'm all right. You know, that's kind of like I'm okay. So Theresa, look, you've had a fairly like diverse career. You've taken different paths, had to reinvent yourself. You know, I recently read a profile on you that was a little older, but talked about your entry point into true religion. Like, I'd love to learn more about, you know, your entry point into this particular role and why, like, what led you to take this role here.
Well, I think to sum it up, I've recently discovered that I just like chaos. And I like I like to be in the middle of confusion and everything. And, you know, that works well for me. Yeah. But unfortunately, I am one of those people who get in the center of it and I perform well, but then I complain, oh, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. But the path that led me here is just that, you know, always working for organizations that were possibly just starting. They needed some type of infrastructure, something was missing and they needed someone to come in and build it. And that was me. So then when I was approached by True Religion, they were going through a restructuring. And so, you know, all restructurings everywhere, not just True Religion, can be chaotic and stressful and fraught with drama and everything. And so they explained that to me and I went, okay, you know, I'll do it. And, you know, obviously, you know, I always loved the brand, you know, from growing up on the south side of Chicago. And when I couldn't wear it then, you know, my parents wouldn't buy it for me. So it was coming into an organization that I've always loved, that I've, you know, always been enamored with, into a situation where I'm thrown in the middle of the fire and I can help them restructure some things that they definitely needed.
But see, so you said you like chaos, you like being in the middle of confusion, but you don't like chaos for chaos sake. I would imagine it's the ability to create clarity in that chaos. No,
100%, 100%. I am one of those people who I'll see a problem, I'll see the squiggly lines, and I'll go in and say, oh, I see it clearly. I can straighten that out. I can lead you in the right path. And, recently I was explaining something else, another part of my life to someone else. And she said, "Oh, you're like a lighthouse." And I go, "Oh, really?" And I go, "How?" And he said, "Well, what does a lighthouse do?" And I said, "Well, guide ships in the night." And they said, "Well, that's what you do." And this is someone I was talking to, and I was explaining my background. And again, why I like true religion and why I love what I do and who I do it for. And then she came up with that. And once she started explaining to me, I go, "Oh, wow. Okay. I never put that together." But I love that description of me, a lighthouse.
Now, can I be honest? Like the main thing, because that I think about when I hear true religion is 2 Chainz. Do y'all have any type of like relationship with 2 Chainz? Do y'all like do any sponsorships and stuff with him?
Well, you know what? We do consider 2 Chainz to be a part of our family now. And I think that he considers us to be family as well. But even after, we did that concert with him and sponsored that for him,
Yeah.
we also partnered up with the charity that he started and he owns there in Atlanta. And we did a lot of events with them for the children, back to school events, feeding the homeless and food donations and things like that. So, and we have some other things that we want to present to them as well so that we can continue the partnership. But yeah, working with him was the best and working with his team was the best as well. So no, we're joined.
I love that. I just remember, like in college, I think it was like coming around. I don't know. It was some time ago. But listen to his mixtapes, like, oh, this, because this is when I was just learning about who he is. But so, quick aside, the craziest, imitable, creative rap line I've ever heard is from 2 Chainz, because he said, matching Rollies, his and hers, matching Ferraris, his and hers. Go to the zoo and say, pick a fur, Theresa. I go to the zoo and I say, pick a fur. How country is that? That's so crazy. Anyway, I was too crazy. So, but that leads me to my next question. You're in this space, you're taking on this executive role, in the, again, I wouldn't say we're in the height of it, but in a season where diversity and inclusion is getting a bit of a resurgence. I'm curious, like, what does it look like for you to encourage or influence or straight up lead true religion to be the most equitable place possible?
Okay, let me tell you a little story first that I honestly hadn't shared with anyone yet. I was going to sort of somehow put it on LinkedIn next week. But so I've lived in this neighborhood for like 20 or so years. And I've always felt safe. I always felt comfortable. I'm the only person of color here. And it's been like that all this time. And I'm fine with that. I go to the beach in my neighborhood. You see a few of us, that kind of thing. And I've been fine with that. I've always felt safe. So now we're in this, starting, last summer and everything, this racial upheaval that we're in, that you can somewhat say is a race war. And so, and I still felt, okay, I'm okay. So last weekend, the same beach that I went to, that I've been going to for the past 20 years, someone called me the N-word, just unsolicited and everything. So when I heard it, I knew that there was everything going on, I knew that there was a chance that this would happen. But we'd been sitting at this bar all day, just drinking, having fun, going back and forth to the beach, just having a good time with everyone there. So it was shocking that it was just unprovoked for this lady to just call me that out of the blue. So the first thing I did was I stood there and I'm like, oh my gosh, did I just really hear this? And I feel the trauma coming on. And so everyone else around me, non-people of color, they came to my aid. They were my allies. They wanted to fight her and they were yelling at her, oh, blah, blah, blah. And it was going back and forth between them. And in the midst of all of this, I'm standing there with all of this swirling around me. And what I could think about is, one, I can't believe that just happened to me, even though I knew there was a possibility. Two, I can't clown her like I would have liked to, going back to my South Side roots. And because I'm thinking, I don't want to be on the news.
Right.
I don't want to lose my job. Right. And let's just be honest. if I had reacted the way everyone else around me was reacting, the non-people of color, it would have looked poor on me.
Right.
I would have been fingered as the aggressor or as this angry Black woman who didn't know how to just walk away, or somehow I did provoke it, even though I hadn't. Okay. So that was the weekend. So I had to go back to work the next day, right? And I'm thinking, and the whole time I'm looking in the faces of everyone that I've been working with for the past year and a half, and I'm holding on to this trauma. I'm not going to lie, I'm hurting. Okay. I'm the head of diversity for this global organization, and this happened to me, and I'm hurting inside. I have to go to work and help the employees and do this. And I'm looking in the faces of people that I've been working with for a year and a half, and I'm saying to myself, who are they really when I'm not around? Who are they really on the weekends? When they run out of this office, what are they really saying about me? So all day, all week, I've been grappling with this. I've been hurting, doing my job successfully.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly. Helping other employees successfully. So for me, work should be, or our environment at True Religion should be, and I think we are evolving to that, and that's where we are now, a safe place where you may be experiencing some trauma, but I want other employees who can say, hey, listen, Theresa, for example, you're a little quieter today. You're behaving a little bit differently, or you're questioning things that you don't regularly question. What's going on? What happened? And I didn't get that. And I would have loved to share the story. So when I talk to other employees and they have shared stories like this with me in the past, and I've had to coach them, or I've had to coach their managers or other leaders in the organization on how to deal with this, it's, for me, that's opening up a way to listen to the employees, opening a way for the employees to share their experiences, whether good or bad. And I think that's what it takes. And that forms a bit of allyship. I talk about allyship a lot. You know, I did feel a sense of allyship that day at the beach when that word was thrown at me. But I want that, you know, in the workplace too. So if you don't normally ask your employees, how are you feeling? Are there any concerns, or what support do you need? Then you won't know. And I don't think that as an organization, you aren't ready or you aren't willing to listen, because you know, employees wanted to share things like that. So if you're creating a safe space psychologically for employees to just come in like, oh, you won't believe it happened to me, and they know that you're their ally and they're going to support you, then you're not doing the right thing. So I think at True Religion, we are doing that. But I think also as well, I think it's about leaders knowing that in the light of everything that's going on now and everything that started last summer and before then, you got to know that our employees are dealing with some type of micro traumas every day. We talk about microaggressions, but what about the micro traumas that employees feel or that surface every day in employees? I don't want my employees to look at the work of their counterparts that are non-people of color and wonder what they're thinking. Who they are on the weekends. But I do want the employees that are not people of color to understand that may be what's going on in our minds. So you got two different mindsets going on in the workplace every day. And we each need to understand each other. And the only way to do that is to open up and have these open, honest dialogue sessions and listening sessions, so that people who, like me, I'm still hurting, I'm still healing from that. That happened less than a week ago. I'm still hurting and trying to heal from that, so that people like me can comfortably still come to work and be myself and say, okay, hey, that happened over the weekend, but I'm at work today. I'm around friends. I'm around people who are my allies, who appreciate me and know how hard I work and know how smart I am. And regardless of the color of my skin, this environment, True Religion right here, is where I feel comfortable.
Phenomenal. Yes, thank you for your answer. You said a lot there. I'd like to move forward a little bit. We're in this season, of course, they call it the Great Resignation. Some people are calling it the Great Reimagination or the Great Renegotiation. Some people are calling it a giant FU, like whatever. But the point is that we're in this season where people are moving around. I'm curious, like, what do you think the future of retail is? Like, when it like with the Amazons, like these other digital shippers, like becoming bigger and bigger. Like, what do you see as like the future of brick and mortar, and like how it relates to just like careers in this industry?
Well, I think that just like businesses have to evolve, people need to evolve. I think people need to stay abreast on, the changes in the environment that may propel them to go back to school, to learn something different or to network differently and things like that. Yeah, the future of brick and mortar is uncertain right now. However, and yeah, we are moving more into e-commerce. That's just the life. That's just what it is. So, but I don't think brick and mortar is going to go away 100%. There's still always going to be people like me who like to go in and feel the fabric and go into the stores or that type of thing. But with that being said, the future of retail, I'm still pretty certain about it because I think that businesses can change and evolve to adapt to how people do things. And I think that how in the way that we're moving more into e-commerce, I think that will just make brick and mortar, maybe stores with 500 stores. I'm sorry, businesses with 500 stores. Maybe they'll just have, I don't know, 200 stores. Maybe they'll just have 100 stores, that sort of thing. So it won't go away completely, but we will need to adapt the way that we do business, and employees will need to adapt their skill sets. Are you not computer savvy? Well, then, hey, listen, you need to strengthen your computer skills because we're hiring for this e-commerce person or e-commerce team right here, and we want to keep you, but you don't have the skill set. So I think it's going to just take everyone listening to the external changes and evolving. So.
I love that. Again, kind of staying into this, like the industry talk. This next generation of worker, really like my siblings, they're really like posed to be like the most diverse, socially conscious, politically active and aware / opinionated workforce we've ever encountered. And I'm curious, like, what do you believe, like not just True Religion, but like the retail space needs to do to like attract and retain like this highly diverse workforce coming in right now?
You have to listen to everything that they say. Listen. And then a lot of times they may not articulate their needs very well. You have to learn how to interpret it. So, for example, we sent out a survey to our employees, a diversity survey. How diverse do you think True Religion is? How can we fix it? Anything that you don't see that we're doing correctly, or how can we improve? And everything was centered around, sort of to like one of your points, centered around being more socially aware. We understand that you guys are doing charity, but how can we get involved? What can we do? That type of thing. So, and we listened immediately. Immediately, we went to into diverse communities, to a diverse organization to figure out how we can help the diverse individuals in that community. Mm-hmm. So we partnered with an organization where we were able to participate in a softball game, a charity softball game. But it took all the employees coming out, all the proceeds, and the students were there from diverse high schools, in inner city in Los Angeles. There were like, I think about 100 or so students that came out, 4 or 5 different organizations, and we played softball against them to raise money for them. But but we were in their neighborhood as well playing. But then the important part is the employees were there with us, playing softball, talking to the students, mentoring them, teaching them, talking to them about internships, talking to them about how they got to where they are, how considering their background, which is the same as the students are in right now, considering that background, how they got to the organizations that they're right now, how they got into that position. So, and they loved it. The feedback was just phenomenal. That was last Friday. So Monday, everyone came back sore and excited, but everything they said was, thank you for letting us participate. Thank you for letting us meet them. So what we're learning is, the older generation, myself and older, we're learning that, employees don't want to just sit back and have you tell them what you've done or what they will do. They want you to go to them and say, what ideas do you have? Okay, do you want to run that? Do you want to participate? Or how can you help? They also want us to help other people, which I love that about them. They're very socially conscious, very socially aware. And if we don't do it, they're going to let us know. Where did that money go? And they come to us all the time. I'm doing this on Sundays with this charity. I'm doing that. How can you help my charity? How can you help my organization? So I love that about them.
I love that. Theresa, I think about, you talked a little bit earlier about, it's important to listen. You've said that actually a couple of times. Just listen, like being a place where you can hear, where you can receive feedback and you can act. And I'm curious, you're a Black woman in this space, in a space that has, just like virtually every other industry in America and across the globe, deep histories of racism, discrimination, disinclusion, outright exclusion. What does it look like for you to show up as Theresa and advocate for yourself in majority white spaces?
You know what? It looks now. This conversation, I'm always me. I'm very authentic, and people can tell you that. I don't have time to be someone else. And I know that and you know this as a Black man, we always talk about this one face that we have at work and this one face that we have at home. Yeah. And to a certain extent, everyone has that. And you have to have a certain level of professionalism at work that you don't need to have at home around your friends and your family. But at work, I can't work someplace where I have to come in and pretend like I'm not me. Like, I'm not Theresa from the South Side of Chicago. Like, I didn't struggle and work hard to get here, or like everything is rosy. Or I can't, or tell you that, honestly, I don't believe that there's an underlying meaning to what you just said to me, or underlying meaning to your behavior, to this action that you just took. I'm going to point blank ask you, what did you mean by that? When you did or you said that, what were the implications? How is this negatively impacting me? Was this intentional? So and that's how I'm always talking to employees. One thing I'm very proud of, and I can pat myself on the back of this, my team and everyone else that I work with, they know that Theresa Watts is going to be Theresa Watts. I'm going to tell you how I'm feeling. I'm going to ask you how you're feeling, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell me how you're feeling. That's the only way as a Black woman I can show up. Yeah. Are there times, let's just be honest, are there times that something happens and I go, man, is this because I'm Black? Mm-hmm. Because that's just, that's just the reality. You have to think about that. Mm-hmm. But unless I can be myself and tell you how I feel, which I always do, then I wouldn't be successful. But I'm sorry, go ahead, I cut you off.
No, I was agreeing with you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I can't be successful in a space where I can't be me. So if you allow me to be me, I'm going to be me, but me is a lot. So you have to be ready to take it.
Okay. So follow-on question that is, me is a lot. That resonates with me as well. I'm very similar. Mm-hmm. How do you know when a space just isn't for you? And like, how do you make that determination? Like, hey, you know what? This is no longer aligning with XYZ. It's time for me to exit. Like, what are the signs for you?
When and honestly too, when you're in it, you feel it. You know what I mean, Zach? Mm-hmm. You know exactly what I mean. But I would say some of the obvious signs are when you're being told that you're too much. Like, I've worked in organizations where I work places where I've been the only Black person, and I've been told, well, Theresa, you can't run this organization like you run a Fortune 500 company. Like, why can't I? It's the same initiatives. Like, there's a roadblock everywhere you go, and when you know that you're doing the right thing, that that it's been successful there, and that it can be successful there. There's a roadblock. You have no allies. No one's on your side. Everyone else is being heralded and put up on a pedestal for doing things like showing up, and and you're not being heralded or put on a pedestal for doing something that's very good. You're not getting that same recognition. Let's be honest, Zach, people give you cues. People tell you when you're not wanted. So you're on a team and you're doing just as well as everyone else, and you're not getting the accolades and the recognition and the promotions and the raises or whatever else that comes with the accolades and recognition. They're telling you, we don't want you here. And there's sometimes that you're not going to change people. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes you can change an environment. Sometimes you can't. But you have to look within yourself and say, is this worth the fight that I want to fight? Or is it time for me to just move on and be someplace where I'm wanted? And my mom always told me, listen, don't stick around when people don't want you, because they're going to do everything in their power to make it uncomfortable for you to leave. So.
Yeah, I know my mom would say, like, just go where you're celebrated, don't go where you're tolerated. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're right. Yeah, you can pick it up, you can sense it. So let me ask you this, right? Like, you're in this role, you continue to operate at True Religion. You've had mad profiles. This is not the first podcast you've been on. You outside, you moving around, you rubbing elbows, all of that. I'm curious, as you think about the rest of this year in 2023, what are you most excited about when it comes to the work to make to continue to make True Religion an equitable and inclusive, diverse place for everybody? What things just are kind of happening in your space that you're proud of or you're excited about?
I'm so excited about getting out into the community. We have, and honestly, into the Black community, into the Hispanic community, into the communities where, to the lower income communities. I have see my calendar. I have so many initiatives set up. We hadn't worked with high school students before, so now we're bringing them in, possibly. We're talking to the schools now to bring them in. And these are students who may or may not want to go to college, and that's absolutely fine. But they get an opportunity to work alongside someone who looks like me, who had the same background they did growing up, and just I just see the excitement in their face when we're talking to them. So I'm excited about getting, and not even just for True Religion though, but for my team and for me. It's very, I just love it. Going out and talking to the kids, going out into neighborhoods that are similar to mine. Like when I tell you I was at the softball game and we were talking to the kids, I saw it resonating with the kids. And I talked to them about, having to leave the house at 5 o'clock in the morning to get to school, because I had to take 3 buses and 3 trains from the south side of Chicago to get to my high school. And then through that, I walked through some of the most horrible people, seriously. You know what I'm talking about. I walked through those people all day to get to school, but I made it and I'm here. So I'm excited about being able to go into those neighborhoods and tell the kids, yeah, guys, I know it's rough right now. You didn't choose this life. You didn't choose to live here. You didn't choose to be hungry. You didn't choose to not have the clothes that other kids are wearing. You didn't choose it, but stay on this path. Because it's possible to get out. It's possible if you take one of these 3 paths as opposed to one of the other paths that are presented to you probably on a daily basis out in the street. So I want to tell kids that. So we have a lot of, and our employees want to do the same because they're emailing me constantly. What's next? What's next? Who are we talking to? And I love that. I love that my employees get to see my Black woman face, sitting in my office doing these types of things. They come to me, some with tears in their eyes, saying that they can't believe it. When we got this company has never had Juneteenth. When we got Juneteenth as a holiday, I literally had 3 employees in my office crying because they were so excited about it. And I want to continue doing things like that. I want to continue to do things that make me fight back tears. I want to continue to do things to show employees that regardless of where I came from, I'm still humble, and I want to help you to get there, and I want to bring you up with me, and I want to show you the life that I have so that maybe you can get there too, or you can want it as well. And that's what I'm excited about. I love working with the kids and the women. We have a women's series coming up this summer as well, because growing up, it was just me and my mom. And, successful women weren't coming into my neighborhood to tell me that women can do this and they can do that. And my mom wasn't friends with people who could tell me that I can do the things that I'm doing now. So I want to create pathways for women with children as well. So they know, yeah, you have a child and it's tough now and it's just the 2 of you, but you can still take this path. You can still go this way. There's still ways that you can still teach your child that they can do different and better things, that they can get out of this situation. And I want to give you the tools to do that as well. So I'm sorry, I go on and on, but I'm excited about that.
You don't have to apologize for anything. This is great. Teresa's a podcast. That's what we're supposed to do. So let me ask you this, and we'll wrap up after this. Is, most of these organizations in corporate America, the C-suite room is overwhelmingly white. You have a healthy percentage, I would say, folks out there trying to do something to help, again, like move toward a more equitable workplace. They're trying to do something. For those, the people who are really moving in good faith and trying to do something, what 3 points of advice would you give them?
Okay. I would honestly, I would just make sure that your employees feel heard. Because when an employee, you know that even you do your friendships or your romantic relationships and your family, when you feel that you're really being heard, you think that you really know that that you're being valued. I think being heard and valued kind of go with one another. So make sure that your employees feel heard, and make sure that they feel understood. Now, just because I hear you doesn't mean I know what you're talking about or that I care, but make sure that they feel understood. And that's like when I said we did the survey where they gave us feedback. So we heard you and we understood you. So we took your feedback and we ran with it. So we understood. So we created an action plan to help show you that we understood it, and support it, and make sure the employees feel supported. And by making sure they feel supported, again, what are your needs? What initiatives are you working on that you need support with? Where do you want to be in your career? What things are not making you happy in this particular workplace? And how can I support you? So I would just say, make sure that your employees feel heard, that they're understood, and that they feel supported.
I love that. Theresa, thank you so much for being a guest. Shout out to True Religion being on the show. And listen, the next time you see 2 Chainz, just let them know about Living Corporate so we can get on the pod. All right. Till next time, Theresa, we'll catch you soon, okay?
All right. Thanks so much.
And we're back. Again, I want to shout out Theresa. Thank you so much for being a guest. Shout out True Religion. This is not an ad. True Religion, can y'all send me some jeans? Can I send y'all the dimensions? Can y'all shoot me some clothes or something? I would like something. I don't know. I mean, something for the love. You know what I mean? And also shout out 2 Chainz. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, great episode. Make sure you give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. If you haven't already, make sure to share this podcast with a friend. Share it with 2 Chainz, actually. Share it with him. Go on socials and blast him, tag him in the comments or whatever on Instagram. Let him know that we out here. You know what I mean? Actually, Theresa should probably connect. I'm gonna hit up Theresa, ask me if she connect me with 2 Chainz. Till next time, y'all, this has been Zach. Love y'all, appreciate y'all. Peace.
Living Corporate is a podcast by Living Corporate LLC. Our logo was designed by David Dawkins. Our theme music was produced by Ken Brown. Additional music production by Antoine Franklin for Musical Elevation. Post-production is handled by Jeremy Jackson. Got a topic suggestion? Email us at livingcorporatepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us online on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and living-corporate.com. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned.